r/ask Reddit. What is a sign of low intelligence? Having your hand be bigger than your face. I know your tricks. As someone who tests IQ as part of his job, I find an odd trend is strongly predictive of low to borderline IQ. Being able to read fluently but then struggling to paraphrase what was read. So not understanding what they read means someone is not intelligent. Am I reading your comment correctly? Hope so. Making strong opinions on topics you don't understand. Thinking you know more than you know. Go through my post history and you'll get an idea. I'd argue that knowing or suspecting that you have a low intelligence implies you are smarter than you think. To know the limitations of oneself is a good indication of intelligence. Of course, it's likely this post was just a joke. Not being able to entertain an opposing thought without losing your shit. If you ask someone to examine things under a different perspective and they start getting angry, you're talking with an idiot. If someone is unable to contribute to a conversation in a constructive manner in regards to opposing opinions, beliefs, they might as well have a giant blinking sign saying I'm an intolerant idiot above their head. Believing that 5G caused coronavirus. Constantly talking about how smart you are. It's an insecurity. It's a pretty decent rule of thumb that if someone is going out of their way to call themselves some positive trait, they are not that thing. Very true. One of the secrets of reading people who brag about certain things seem to be most insecure about that trait, although this doesn't apply 100% of the time. People who think they are always right. Absolutely right. No way we are wrong. Being afraid or ashamed to say I don't know when they don't know. Insecure noises. Believing conspiracy theories for every little thing. Especially, believing in contradicting conspiracies, such as believing COVID-19 is all just a hoax and nobody is actually dying, while simultaneously believing more people are dying from it than reported, and the government is covering it up. Bragging about passing a dementia test. Hey, the first few are easy, but I bet you probably couldn't even answer the last 5. Come on, man. Only a genius can remember person, woman, man, camera, TV. A lot of the answers here are less low intelligence and more people being a-holes or people not learning or respecting social mores. Most of the upvoted stuff here is things you can find equally among IQ 80 people and IQ 130 people. Side note, this is not meant to legitimize IQ as a measure of overall intelligence, because it's not great for that. I think it's important to differentiate between being unintelligent and being an idiot or an a-hole. Mental capacity doesn't really map well to beneficial or maladaptive behavior, and that's a good thing. If it did, that'd mean some people were just born fated to be shitheads because they aren't smart enough to be good. But the truth is that even unintelligent people are eminently capable of being great people and possessing deep emotional intelligence. Unfortunately, that means that really smart people can and will also be super asinine or even evil if they fail to learn. Or if they learn and fail to apply it, or even apply it in a destructive manner. A lot of stopping this bad behavior, being unwilling to entertain other ideas, falling for conspiracy theories, falling for sunk cost fallacies, getting sucked into tribalism, etc., isn't down to just being smarter, but rather to learning to combat these fallacies and tendencies on an individual level. They are largely vestigial tendencies common to all humans, left over from evolving in an environment that no longer exists for most of humanity. It's a learned skill, and because it's not a terribly complex thing, it's a skill low intelligence people can learn. However, because it is a learned skill and counter to our natural instincts, it's also something even smarter people can just never get around to learning. You can be the smartest guy on earth and not know how to do a thing, just because you never had occasion to learn. All that to say, something that's been on my mind a lot lately is how we equate intelligence with overall goodness. If someone is an anti-vaxxer, we say they're an idiot, or they're dumb, when what's probably more true, and really, what should be more embarrassing for them is that they have an underdeveloped skill for discerning truth and recognizing expertise. People who won't wear masks are often called stupid too. But more often the truth is that they've either been fed a drastically different set of false information than us, and or they are willingly refusing to empathize and make a minor sacrifice for a major benefit to others. One half of that problem is an information availability problem, which may well have been constructed and perpetuated with or without their knowledge and assistance, and the other is a problem of lacking empathy. Neither of those is really an intelligence thing, though, so when you run into one of those people, it's much less useful and less devastating to call them stupid, call them thoughtless, call them reckless, call them cold and selfish and unloving, call them ignorant, if you must. If you don't want to call them deceived or indoctrinated, but don't call them stupid, even if they are. That's not the reason they're acting that way. Don't give them that excuse. You can't really change someone's basic intelligence, and it's unreasonable to expect them to increase it. Their flaws are things that can be changed and fixed by learning simple skills or willingly engaging their sense of empathy, and that places the responsibility for being better where it belongs, on their shoulders. I went out with a woman last year who couldn't calculate a 20% discount. I'm not talking internally. I'm saying that even if she had a calculator she wouldn't know what to do. She was a primary school teacher. I was telling a friend how I would calculate a %20 tip in my head. I'd take %10 of the bill and then just double it. And he was confused as to how to get the %10. You literally move the decimal once to the left. Getting sucked in MLMs. My friend has just been duped by another one. She's actually really smart, but she's naive about these kind of scams. The first one was skincare, and I gently explained over a few weeks what was going on and how the company works. Because she was being pressured to buy more, she took my word and got out. Now she's doing a travel agent thing. She asked me what I thought and I said, do you have to pay in order to earn? Yes. She said there's a sign up fee. I told her it was a scam, but she's gone ahead with it anyway because it was another close friend who involved her. I have to be supportive, but I just want to shake her and I want to scream bloody murder at the other girl who involved her. I have a good friend who legit was diagnosed with low intelligence as a child. He appeared normal and acted mostly normal, but was in classes with Down syndrome kids all the way through high school. He was aware enough to be embarrassed about being in those classes. I also have an aunt who was in a car accident while in her mother's womb. As a result of the accident, she was born with much lower than normal IQ. Firstly, their low IQs are not something they can control, so rather than judge and distance myself, I've tried to be a kind, genuine friend to both of them throughout our lives. A few observations about each of them. Their personalities are polar opposites. My buddy is a redneck, loudmouthed, Trump-loving dude who gets in fights, owns guns, and goes out of his way to antagonize people just for the fun of it. My aunt is extremely kind-hearted, remembers everyone's birthday, is tender, thoughtful and empathetic. Now onto the similarities. Not saying these are true for everyone with low IQ, but just observations I have noticed. They both come across as mostly normal, but there is something about them that makes many people uncomfortable. For example, when I was younger, my mom didn't want me to hang out with my buddy because she felt weird around him. They both talk a lot. I mean a lot. They both struggle keeping jobs for very long. They both struggle reading fluently. Even simple concepts are sometimes tough for them to grasp. For example, on one occasion my buddy tried his hand at college. He was taking one of those entry-level college math classes to assess what he learned in high school, and he was really stuck on the greater than or less than problems. His professors and I explained it to him over and over, but he just couldn't grasp the concept, and ultimately he dropped out a few weeks later. Another example is that my aunt had a job where they offered retirement. She couldn't understand the concept that part of her paycheck would be deducted to pay for insurance. Many people explained it to her, but she just never grasped the concept. Both my buddy and aunt get scammed easily. They both struggle with long-term relationships. They are extremely influenced by the opinions of their parents and struggle seeing other points of view. They both are lacking in hygiene and general personal grooming and dress habits. And they both talk of their overly ambitious plans for the future despite not being on a path that will lead to those plans. For example, my buddy legit thinks he will one day be the richest lawyer in the USA. Both are amazing people who I care about deeply. People with low IQs need strong support networks and good friends that can listen and be kind despite some of the negative aspects of their situation. You wear the mask below the nose. Why'd you get married? We'd been together for 4 years, so. Yep, The good old sunk cost fallacy. Been ducking people over by their own doing for centuries. Being on Love Island. I felt my brain cells die when they were talking about Brexit. Earth is flat supporters. I never understood this one because, why? They're like scientists are lying to you and making up a bunch of science stuff so you'll be dumb enough to believe the earth is actually round. But like why? Why would they do that? Best I gathered is it usually becomes some secular versus religious thing where the whole scientific community of baby eaters is trying to destroy religion or something. People who confuse their opinions with facts. Having low intelligence. Installing Reddit. Never have I been so offended by something I 100% agree with. Repeat the same mistakes and blame everything else but you. Not once or twice, but for years and years, without improving 1 inch and still blaming others. A lot of the answers on here are pure rubbish and more about personality and approach to life than actual intelligence. You can be a person with a low IQ and still be skeptical and curious about things, just as you can be intelligent and closed-minded. And actual sign of low intelligence would be something like low processing speed, trouble with basic arithmetic, low reading comprehension, etc. And actual sign of low intelligence would be something like low processing speed, trouble with basic arithmetic, low reading comprehension, etc. Exactly. A lot of people are just posting here to shit on personality traits they don't like. I know plenty of close-minded geniuses and open-minded retards. One has nothing to do with the other. Not being sure if mayonnaise is an instrument. Successfully identifying an elephant and thinking that makes you a genius. Not knowing how sheep's bladders can be employed to prevent earthquakes. You have to know these things when you're working. What does intelligence mean? When you're in the telligence. I believe it is harder to find low IQ people out of a batch. You can say strong opinion on limited information, but that could be arrogance. You can say follows random traditions, but that can be complacency. You say cannot handle electronics, but that can be an Apple user. The more I go through life, the more I see we measure intelligence incorrectly. Lack of self-awareness. How your action has consequences and its impact on other people. Insulting people when you can't win an argument. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.